r/ask Reddit. What makes a person boring? When they only talk about other people, like talking shit about people is their only personality. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. Eleanor Roosevelt. If I have an apple and you have an apple and I share my apple with you and you share yours with me, we would still have one apple each. But if I have an idea and you have an idea and we share those ideas, we now have 2 ideas each. Michael Scott. I have no idea who said this so. Agreeing with everything you say but never offering anything unique. I have this problem and don't know how to deal with it. If you give me 10 minutes, I could come up with something, but by then the conversation has moved on, or perhaps it has stopped altogether. Even just writing this, I took some time to think if I wanted to comment and then what did I want to say. Edit. This got an insane amount of replies, and I just want to tell you, if you are reading this again, I thank you for taking time out to replying to me. In my head, I already know all the advice given. I nodded and went yeep, I already know this. But I was just too afraid. I needed someone to tell me, to validate my knowledge. And well, there were quite a lot of you who helped me. I took a leap of faith today, in an environment where I felt comfortable. In the beginning, I had people looking at me weird, only to find out they were just shocked and happy, saying how I was finally vocal for once. I still do feel like I messed up. Places where I could have said something better, more accurate, even though work was hours ago. But, baby steps, right? I have the same thing. It's anxiety that people won't like what you say or think it's stupid, which will result in people liking you less. So your brain just doesn't give you anything until it finds a sentence that everyone will be happy with. When I drink, I seem to have the perfect words for everything and it's effortless. When I smoke, I get a bit anxious, so I tend to go even quieter. One thing that helped me was doing LSD and realizing this was a thing, and that I can't make everyone love me without sacrificing being myself. But that's obviously not for everyone. Talking about nothing but themselves. Alternatively, saying nothing about themselves. I just assume people don't care. Having their personality centered around one single thing, and only that thing. I'm gay, and the worst kind of gay person is the one that everything in their life is about being gay. It's so ducking boring. I get it. You're gay. I'm gay too. Gay rights are important. Yes. The same sex is hot. I agree. Drag Race is a fun show, yep. But like, learn an instrument or read a book or something FFS. This exactly for me too. That, and my pothead friends will only ever talk about smoking. Before work, during or after. It's all they do or look forward to. I enjoy it too, but my gosh, do something else. I came here to be enlightened, not to be described. SMH. Haha, I wonder who all the boring people are. Duck. Having zero interests outside of work. Edit. Didn't realize this was such a problem. Thought it was just my so and me. I had no idea people were in such a serious rut. Bless you all for all the work you do. What about having zero interest in work? That would describe me. What if your work is so many random things it's hard to explain, and when you do it sounds like you're a crackhead building shit to contact aliens? Then they ask the question, wow, what exactly is your job title? And it's honestly like 7 words long that describes 1 out of 10 of what you actually do. Today I learned I'm a boring person. My brain is pretty much screaming in agony after reading this thread because I could relate to some parts but not to others. So I can't tell if I'm boring, not boring, or even half boring. That means you can be boring to one person and very interesting to another. This is how it works, I guess. I've met people who everybody adored, but they seemed completely boring to me. When they agree with everything you agree with, you need to have your own opinions. I totally agree with you, dude. Exactly what I was thinking. No sense of humor. Is this supposed to be a joke or something? Cause I'm not laughing. They said I'd never be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now. My dad used to always say this: if you're bored, you're boring. I used to hate it, but there's some truth that the people in this world who are interesting are people who can find wonder in any situation. If you're bored, you're boring. The agony and the irony. They're killing me, WHOOO. Relying on other people to make all decisions. I think I should upvote this. Should I? I don't know. You tell me. Not being able to have a meaningful conversation. I sometimes struggle with this. There are people I can talk to easily, without seemingly running out of things to say ask. But if I feel I'm the one who has to initiate, I tend to get really wrapped up in my head about what to ask say next, and then assume the other person must think I'm dull cause I can't chit chat like a regular person. Then I see other people who can talk to anyone about anything and I'm like, was I sick the day they taught the talking like a normal person class at school? I have some similar problem. I can initiate, but if the other person does not engage, well, here's an hour of awkward sitting and watching at cell phones. Not recognizing when no one is interested in what they're talking about. This skill is one of the worst to learn, because you were always telling something you were excited about and realized no one else cared. I used to do this a lot with my wife. I'd find myself apologizing for boring her with stuff I was interested in when she was genuinely interested and actually listening to me. My exes hated the stuff I was passionate about and it made me apologies for being interested in something. Not being passionate about anything. I'm passionate about being unpassionate. Honestly, a lot of it comes down to storytelling. I remember listening to one of my cousins tell a story, and I realized it was super boring but I was super interested. So I started paying attention to the way she tells stories. I like to think people are more interested in what I have to say now, but also I've had a pretty ducking crazy life so far, so there's a lot to talk about. What sort of approach did you observe with your cousin's storytelling? When they don't ever do anything spontaneous, and act as if anything different unique is weird and embarrassing. Oof, this is the first one that's really got me. Also, nothing worse than someone asking or expecting me to do something out of my comfort zone like karaoke or dancing. The second you want me to do it, it creates this imaginary pressure to me, and even if I might do it on my own, I definitely won't now. I get embarrassed way too easily at things that no one would consider embarrassing. This is an oddly specific response that resonated with me. I know what you mean by the imaginary pressure, and I also get embarrassed too easily, e.g., blushing over nothing. It almost feels like people are constantly testing you, and once they see you're not comfortable in your own skin, you've officially lost face and are socially worthless. People seem to be obsessed with proving that they are confident, outgoing, spontaneous, etc. No sense of humor and or sense of adventure. We all love a humorous adventurer. This is also a description of someone with depression, or someone who has social anxiety, doesn't want to say anything that bothers someone else or makes someone think less of them. If you have utterly nothing in common with them, chances are you bore them just as much as they bore you. Tends to happen most with friends of a friend. I ran a coffee, beer, live music, art gallery place for about 10 years, and I disagree. After talking to hundreds of people a day, many of them regulars, sometimes talking to some for seconds, others all day, I can honestly say that some people I found boring as shit that I may have much in common with, and others fascinating who I have nothing in common with. There are so many factors and combinations of factors. It could be passion or humor, but then some people without those attributes might be fascinating if they are brilliant or can find a way to make a normally boring subject interesting, like a good teacher or professor. Others may be great storytellers, and thus very interesting, but about something you may not be interested in, like sports or rap, or parenting. If there's one thing that draws me to people, it's likely an interest in life, a joy of being alive. I'd like to believe that describes me. I know it describes my wife and our friends, and it makes me curious about speaking with and interviewing people to hear their thoughts on myriad things, and it compels me to keep trying new things and traveling to places I've not been. Anyhow, great question. OP. And apologies for any major cell phone typos, grammars, edits, so many. A bore is someone who deprives you of solitude without providing you with company. Oscar Wilde. No creativity, no original ideas. Everything is predictable. About 50% of this thread is people that misunderstand what the word boring means and comment on things that irritate them instead. People with no hobbies, skills. I remember always struggling to answer those questions. What are your hobbies? And in hindsight, I was just super dull and barely living. What are you into now? Watching porn. You're boring if you don't post naked selfies on Reddit. Smooth. Semicolon. Spending every bloody second of every minute of their life on Facebook. When the only thing you have in common to talk about is schoolwork. People whose only activity in life is smoking weed and drinking alcohol. Talking about smoking weed and drinking alcohol. Talking about how high or drunk they were, and wondering when the next time it is that they will smoke weed or drink alcohol, while also being very loud about all of it, in public, in front of anyone. Not wanting to do anything. I'm quite a boring person. I'm very talkative and have interests and hobbies that most other people don't have or can't relate with. So when I talk about them and in my mind I'm being very passionate, the other person listening is getting bored to death. Especially because I'm very old school, so most people perceive my interests as mom granny things, which just adds to the lame boring vibe. Also, I am not comfortable being silent and sometimes keep talking for the sake of it. This one gets so boring even my boyfriend admits sometimes he gets sleepy listening to me talk like that. People who talk at length about people I don't even know. My sister-in-law has been telling stories about her grandpa for 20 years. I've never met him. They aren't funny stories, just things he used to say, do, etc. Boring is subjective. What's fun for me is boring to you, so don't come at me and say me playing video games and watching anime is boring, as that's what I like. Sending pics of half their neck and shoulder on Snapchat with no caption every day without actually engaging you in a real conversation. If their identity is rooted in rejecting things they dislike, instead of embracing things they like, it makes a person small, unidimensional and disconnected from the world. Have you ever noticed how, when people communicate their unpopular opinions, it's always something they dislike? Disliking things has become a trend, because by disliking something you risk absolutely nothing. By embracing something unpopular you do, and you actually become an individual. Edit. Thanks for the silver, unknown benefactor. You truly embrace the things you like. : Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.